there are some things that you do that will help position them, right? Because some of them don't really know where they are. So, can you speak to maybe helping analyzing their current? Because you spoke to that coming in, going out. What are some of the things that you do there to kind of help around that?
Yeah, so one of the things is actually just a visual tool that we fill out together. And sometimes it's painful to see where I'm at right now. Sometimes I don't want to look at where I'm at right now. And so often maybe people won't do that necessarily by themselves. And that actually is the advantage of doing it with somebody else. Part of
Yeah.
the reason my husband and I got into this space is it was difficult ourselves. We had saved, but we didn't know what else to do with our savings. Like we didn't know how to build for the future. We
Mm,
didn't know that when there's extra, what do we do with it? And
yeah.
so having somebody else to sit down and actually walk us through that process and almost have a moderating voice was really helpful. And so when you sit down with somebody, they can do that for you. So we write down, what do we have right now in terms of income? What do we have gross income? What do we have in terms of after taxes? It's called net income. What are
Hmm.
we bringing home with us each month? Then what do we what are our expenses actually? Now, often if somebody tells me they're spending $100 on eating out each month, it's actually 200 or more. If they say
Hmm.
it's 200, it's often 400. There are certain categories that in my mind, I'm like, I got to double check what we're saying or seeing here.
Yeah.
And then there are those subscriptions that add up over time. Then there are those in-app purchases. I sat down with somebody where they were tight month to month. They had relatively decent jobs, um, but tight month to month. And that process of a deep dive on where's my money going, they realized, oh, we're spending at least 400 a month that we don't need to be spending, a couple of hundred of which was in-app purchases. So they're in an app
Mhm.
reading or playing a game. There's, oh, upgrade for such and such or buy such and such. And it's just a little click, a little bit here, a little bit there that adds up. And so then that
Mm.
power to choose when you're feeling tight month to month, sometimes there really are things in there that we don't necessarily need. Uh,
Yeah.
Maybe we simply don't need them for a short period of time while we build that emergency fund, but then we can budget them or some of them back in again afterwards. And so we'll go through that process of what are we actually spending right now? And sometimes it's true, we're doing a good job, in which case maybe we need to think about how do we find additional streams of income. And if you're
Mm.
1099, actually, you can get a lot of tax write-offs at the end of the year. And so
Yeah.
keeping good track of your mileage of business related travel or meals, any of those things. Your home office, if it's exclusively used for the purpose of business, it can't be used for other things. Now suddenly you can get tax write-offs and get money back. And then as we're going through that, we're also thinking through where do I actually have assets that have got started in building and what type of assets are those? What is their purpose? How do they grow? How are they
Mhm.
taxed? And what we can maybe dive, some of these topics we'll dive into a bit more detail. And from there, we're thinking through, okay, well, what does this mean for my future? What areas do I need to flesh out? We're thinking through what's my financial independence number. And that's the number many people don't know. They don't know how much do they need for daily life? How much do they, if they could do better on top of that, what would that look like? Backtracking to today, how much do I need to start saving towards that future?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, anyway, walking through this process can be mind opening, sometimes painful, but if it's the kind of pain that helps us to change the way that we think and then take those incremental steps that you were talking about, it's life transforming.